happened here. Oh, he knocked the pack out. There we go, let's give him some more slack. I think we're good. I think we'll be okay. Nick's gonna fire it up after this, but Noah and Amber were just incredible. I'm just going to share with you some of what has been on my mind when I was invited to be a part of this. And I'm going to refer to some of my notes because I was still trying to decide just even minutes before we started this program exactly what to say. As an actor, you want to tell stories that touch people's lives. And there's few stories that touch as many lives as the story of Jesus in the Gospels. So as an actor, I've kind of hit the jackpot of the kinds of stories that I could tell. And I'm not a therapist, and I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I have no credentials to tell anybody how to live your life. But also, one of the dreams that many actors have is that if you're ever given a platform where you can share a message to make people's lives better, I want to do that with that platform. So that's what's behind me sharing some of the thoughts that I have today. So, I'm very private, and I always have been, about my faith because it saved my life. My parents moved here from India. I'm a Minnesota boy born and raised. Thank you. And the Indian culture didn't translate so well into raising a kid in the United States. And it was really, really difficult. And I almost didn't survive it. And I knew at the time that there was a voice stronger than my own that was guiding me and preserving me. And so some of you are familiar with that footprints in the sand concept of there's two tracks on the beach and there's one set of tracks and then two sets of tracks, and at the time that there was only one pair of footprints, that was Jesus carrying me. I was just too young to know what that was at the time, but I knew I was preserved. So the way that I've been living my life for so long has been that I am only here to do God's will. That's all I'm here to do. And I knew that I wanted to try to make other people's lives easier because of what I had gone through. And I was 24 years old when I had the words come to me about what that meant. I worked for a company that made sports mouth guards, and the founder wanted to include in all of our products a little bonus gift of a hollow capsule that you could unscrew and write something on a piece of paper and put it inside the capsule. And that way you could wear it off of a necklace or carry it off of your belt loop or put it on your bedpost, but you could have your message or your dream, whatever you wrote down, with you at all times. And so what I wrote in mine was that my dream was to make the biggest possible positive impact on as many people as possible, protecting them from the evil in themselves and others. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know how I was going to do it, and it was a very bold thing for a 24-year-old to even declare, but it didn't seem like a bad reason to exist. So, over the course of the last 20 years, I've just tried to make an impact, and my sphere of influence has continued to expand. I was just recently on the negotiating committee for SAG-AFTRA, responsible for one of the 34 people responsible for the strike, so I'm so sorry for interrupting your television. We were fighting the big, scary corporations. But I've been able to grow the sphere of influence from just focusing on doing God's will. And so I wanted to share with you, there's a scene at the end of season 3 in episode 8, which is also in the Gospels where Jesus walks on water, where Jesus says to Simon, "Eyes on me, keep your eyes on me." And it's when Simon takes his eyes off of Jesus that he sinks. And it made me think, faith allows us to move into the unknown because the future is unknown. If we knew it, we wouldn't need faith. And so when you have a purpose, when you have a goal that is really meaningful for you, it gives you a reason every day to get up and endure and to enjoy life. And for me, God had given me a vision of what I wanted to do, and so every day that was my North Star, is just to try to make the best possible impact I could. It gave me something to focus on. God's will was all I could focus on. And as an actor, your life is it can fluctuate because you have lean times and you have the times when you're prospering, and so you can't really be too hung up on comparing yourself to other people because every journey is different. But one thing that keeps me steady going through it is just knowing that if I just do my best every day, that I'm doing what God put me here to do, and it has led me to the show. So sometimes people say, how did being on the show change your faith? I said, it didn't change my faith, it just reinforced that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Otherwise, God can take me out at any time, but I'm still here, which means that I'm doing what He wants me to be doing. So one of the messages that I wanted to share with you is just, it's very hard to see growth or progress in a day, in a week, a month, sometimes even years. But if you keep the faith and you keep your eyes on God, things will work out better than if you don't. But that led me to something else that I wanted to share, because we did a talk. This is like the first experience like this that we've ever had as a cast. We did one small talk in Arizona in September, so this is new for all of us. Yeah, thank you for being our first. Thank you for being our first. And I just happened to mention how I considered self-harm when I was a child because we were just going through such a hard time. And statistically, 1 in 11 of us in this room have considered it. And so I wanted to just bring that present for us about why I think it's so important that we take care of each other. There's a show, some of you might have seen it on the History Channel. I think it's on Netflix now too. It's called Alone. Some of you seen it? And it's basically where they drop a dozen people off in the remote wilderness, far enough apart from each other where there's no hope of them connecting with each other. And it's a game to see who can survive out there the longest completely alone. And they even film themselves, like they are alone. And they only have the clothes on their backs, and they have some modern tools like an axe, tarp, wire, but not much. And the record for the longest that someone was out there on that show on their own is 100 days. 100 days. And it made me think, how is it that with all the modern technology and knowledge, somebody can only make it out there for 100 days? And the answer is because they were alone. We absolutely need each other, literally. We do. And there's a philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche, hopefully I said that right, who said something like, if you have the right why, you can endure almost any how. And taking care of each other is a pretty good why to exist. So I wanted to share, there was a story. So some of you have heard that quote by Margaret Mead. She's an anthropologist. She's the one who said that quote that never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. But there's a story where she was asked by a student what she considered to be the first sign of civilization in a culture. The student expected Margaret to talk about fish hooks or clay pots or grinding stones. But no, Mead said that the first sign of civilization in an ancient culture was a femur, a thigh bone, that had been broken and then healed. She explained that in the animal kingdom, if you break your leg, you die. You cannot run from danger, you can't get to the river for a drink or hunt for food. You are meat for prowling beasts. No animal survives a broken leg long enough for the bone to heal. A broken femur that has been healed is evidence that someone has taken the time to stay with the one who fell, bound up the wound, carried the person to safety, and has tended that person through recovery. Helping someone else through difficulty is where civilization starts, she said. So we literally cannot live without you. So if this message is meant for you, I just want you to hear that I love you, we literally cannot live without you. And that made me think of a concept that came into my heart a while ago. a concept around being the fire. I was imagining how life can sometimes feel like we're alone in this cold blizzard. It's hard to see. The elements are against us. And then if you see a light or a source of fire or heat in the distance, of course you're going to go towards that fire and that heat for warmth. And once you're there and you can warm yourself, you can start to strategize. Okay, I'll get some food, I'll get some wood. And then suddenly someone else appears, and now you can get fire and I'll get wood. And then someone else appears, well, you can build a shelter. And over time, an entire civilization can build around one source of heat. I try to be the fire in my life, and I want to encourage each and every one of you to be the fire in yours for the people around you. We had the opportunity to visit a high school yesterday. And it reminded me of how when you're in high school, that's your whole world. And things are so dramatic because that's all you know of the world. The drama in school, who likes you, who doesn't, what happened. It can feel like if something bad happens, it's the end. But when we graduate, we're pushed to realize that was never all of it. That was just a little microcosm. And it forces us to reinvent ourselves because we can be whoever we want to be. We're no longer bound by who we were in high school. We don't have those same types of graduating events as adults when you turn 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, but you really can be reborn at any time. You can reinvent yourself at any time, so it's never too late. And that reminds me of the scene with Jesus at the end of episode 8, season 3, where after the feeding of the 5,000, Shmuel encounters Jesus. And this is a guy who Shmuel has been trying to expose as a false prophet. He's been trying to get evidence against him. He's been yelling at him. And how does God respond? You look troubled. Would you like some company? Would you like to join me and go pray? Oh, you're troubled, please share. Jesus had every reason to rebuke Shmuel and instead greeted him with open arms. And so the lesson for me in that is it's never too late to reconnect with God either. Doesn't matter what you felt or what you've said or what you've done, he's always there with open arms for you. Amen. So the last couple of things I want to share with you. Shmuel often gets, people come up to me and say, I don't like you. You're annoying. I hate your character in a good way. And I'm like, Amber said something beautiful last night at dinner. She said, sometimes when you see something and you have an issue with it, it might be an indication that you're seeing some of you there. And Shmuel, I think, is such an interesting character that I'm so blessed to play because we are all Shmuel sometimes. We all think we're so right and then can miss the truth right in front of our eyes. Right? So what I love is when people say to me, thanks to the story of Shmuel, I'm a little more patient. I'm a little less judgmental with those who disagree with me because someone might be wrong, but that's okay, we're all wrong at certain times. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean they're a villain. And actually, me making their life worse isn't going to help them be better in any way, shape, or form. So that's what I hope that we all see in Shmuel. Because we have a panel of a Messianic rabbi, a Catholic priest, and an evangelical pastor who consult on the scripts to make sure that nothing contradicts scripture, that's not going to give you a conniption when you see the show. Not that works all the time. We try our best. But he said at the Chosen Con, which was our first kind of convention for the Chosen that happened in Dallas in October, I believe. He said, we today are the most at risk of being the modern Pharisees because we may choose to focus more on the technicalities than the people and the souls and their hearts and what they really need. Right? All of that stuff is important, but not at the expense of really caring for and loving each other and doing what Jesus would do were he here for each other. Right? So I just want, that's my time. I think I covered everything I wanted to talk about, but I think I would just say thank you so much to all of you who showed up. Because of the lighting situation in here, I see mostly a black blob, but I know there's humans out there. Thank you for being part of this special new experience where we can connect with those who make this possible, because we literally could not make this show without you. Thanks so much for coming.